everyone, it's Miss Titus here, and today I'm just going to show you guys how to make salt dough. It's pretty much like a clay that you guys can make yourself, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. It only has 3 ingredients, which are flour, salt, and water. Okay, so it's pretty easy to make and cheap to make. So this is not going to be something that you are required to do. I just wanted to show you guys how you can make something like clay on your own if you don't have Play-Doh or like Model Magic or something like that. So like I said, it's only 3 ingredients. It is called salt dough, so one of the ingredients is 1 cup of salt, okay? We're going to pour that in. The next ingredient is going to be 2 cups of flour. And this is just regular white flour. Nothing special about it. I usually just get the store brand, like the Walmart brand or Hannaford brand. I don't get anything fancy. And I'm just leveling this off with my finger. Don't have to be super exact with this. Just be careful you get a little messy. Okay, that's why I'm doing it right next to the sink so I can rinse off or brush off my hands right after. Put that to the side. And the last ingredient is up to 1 cup of water. So depending on like how much water is in the air where you live, it kind of changes how much water that you need for this. So I have a cup measured out, and if you don't have a cup like this, you just need equal parts salt and water pretty much. So whatever you measure your salt with, if you measure your water with, it'd be fine. The key is just paying attention to how wet your dough is when you mix it. All right, so I'm gonna start with like half of this maybe. And you can use a spoon or you can use your hands. It'd probably be easier to start off with a spoon. Make sure you get it nice and blended. And you want to add your water slowly so that you can get it nice and blended together so that you don't have like salt in one spot and just a chunk of flour, because then it won't set up right. So as you guys can see, it's still pretty crumbly and it hasn't come together. So what I'm gonna do is add like half of the water I have left. Again, adding a bit of water at a time. You don't want to get it too wet because then it's going to get sticky. Alright, continue to mix. And if you want to add food coloring to change the color, you can. If you are mixing it with your hands, just be careful that the food coloring will stain your hands and it will not wash off right away. Or if you decide, you can just leave it white and then color it in with marker or paint after it dries. Okay, this is still pretty like shaggy, not coming together, so I'm going to add some more. I think this might need all of the water. But like I said, just add a little at a time. I still have a little left just to make sure you don't make it too wet. If you do make it too wet, that's okay. You will just need to wait a little bit for it to dry out so that it actually holds onto the shape. And as you guys can see, this makes quite a bit of dough. So if like you have any siblings or cousins that you live with, you can share it. There's plenty to go around. Or even if somebody else in your family wants to do it. Make sure you get it nice and mixed so you don't get any like flour stuck in the bottom. starting to come together some. I can start to form it into different shapes, but it's still not one big ball. So I think I'm actually going to switch to using my hands because I think that it is coming together. I just need to squeeze it together. So I'm just kind of pushing on it and turning it. So I'm starting to get a block. It's still feeling a little dry, not completely mixed. So I think I am going to add the last bit of water. But like I said, you don't always have to add the full cup. So just add a little at a time, and that'll make it easier to mix too. And it will get a little slimy if you're mixing it with your hands right where you add the water. Coming together. Okay. That's the last of my water, so hopefully I don't have to add any more. It's kind of a thing where you just kind of judge it by feel. Like, you don't want it to feel like slime. You want it to feel more like clay. Or Play-Doh. Play-Doh. I think that's what we're looking for. You want it to feel more like Play-Doh. It's not going to be as smooth as Play-Doh because of the salt in it. And then my last step is I'm going to be kneading it like this. So I'm kind of folding it over on itself and pushing down on it. And when you get it to a good spot, it shouldn't really be sticking to you or the bowl. And hopefully you guys can see, I'm using a pretty big bowl. If you are adding food color, I'd say do it before you add the last bit of water. And remember, with food color, usually it doesn't come with all the colors. You'll get yellow, red, blue, and green. So if you want to make a color, remember that red and blue equal purple, and yellow and red equal orange. So this is my final dough, and now I can take off a chunk and make something with it. And this will dry hard, and you can make like beads out of it. You can make like a pendant for a necklace. You can make a little sculpture. So I can rip off a chunk and make a coil, roll it like that, make it into a ball, and make like a animal head or something. So it's just like Play-Doh or clay, but remember, once you make it, it's kind of hard to keep wet. If it does dry out on you while you're working with it, if you're just playing with it and not really making anything, you can add more water if it starts drying out. But remember, you'll need to kind of make something with it the day that you make it, because you don't want it to like get mold or something if you try to cover it. And after you make the shape that you want, what you're going to do is just kind of lay it out in a dry place, and just wait for it to completely dry out like clay. Alright, so I'm just going to do something really quick. Make like a little circular pendant kind of thing, and maybe make like a little paw print. So I just mark the middle with my thumb and then do a couple little indents with my finger to make like a little paw. So that's like one example. You can make anything with this. Okay. So again, this is just something fun, extra to try at home if you have all the materials. You do not have to do this. It's not an assignment. I just wanted to show you guys something that's kind of cool and that you can make at home. You don't need fancy art materials to make good artwork. So I'm showing you guys some things that I made. I made like this burger chicken sandwich. I don't know which I'm gonna make it yet. I made this little chick, this bird. I made this animal head, the paw print thing that I was showing you guys. A bracelet, a hot dog, snake. You can make beads. I used the handle of a paintbrush to poke the holes in it, which is a little bigger. One thing you gotta be careful of is when they're drying, the holes might close up, so you gotta check on them and poke the hole again if they start closing up before they're completely dry, so that you don't lose your like beads. And then you can paint them and then put them on like a string after to make a necklace or a bracelet of some kind. Mine are kind of big, so I'm probably gonna make a necklace out of mine. So I will give you an update when they're dry. Hi guys, it's Miss Titus. I just wanted to give you an update on how the salt dough is doing. So it's day 3 of the drying process and my thicker pieces are still pretty wet. My beads that I made that are small are almost dry, or look pretty much dry. But if you look at my thicker pieces, like the my McChicken and my bird, they're still pretty wet on the bottom. If I touch that, it's like cold and wet. Also, another thing is that when you are making your stuff out of salt dough, it's gonna flatten out a little bit. So my bird got kind of a bit wider, a little chubbier. And as you guys can see, I flipped over a lot of stuff, so hopefully this will help dry the underside. But I did some research and it turns out that you can bake these in the oven to help speed the drying process, but you're more like dehydrating them rather than cooking them. So you want to set your oven to the lowest setting. So on my oven it's 150, and you probably could do the dial a little lower than that as long as your oven turns on. Oh, there it goes. So I will check with you when I have another update once they're out of the oven. Okay. Okay, so I made a discovery. If you don't bake them right away, you're gonna get this, which I'm guessing is the steam tried to escape because the top was dry and the bottom wasn't, so it puffed it up a little bit. You guys can see. So if you're going to put it in the oven, I would suggest doing it right away or just letting them sit out. Don't do a combination of both, because this one did it too. And my McChicken did it too. Okay. Alright guys, so that was how to make salt dough. Like I said, if you are baking it, do that right away. Don't let it dry at all first. You're pretty much dehydrating it. You're kind of put it in the oven for like 2-3 hours, and make sure that you have somebody helping you with this. Okay, don't do it on your own. When they come out of the oven, they're going to be super, super hot. So again, have somebody help you. Don't do it yourself. Make sure you guys are working together. Alright, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me down in the comments on Google Classroom, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time trying this, and send me a picture if you do decide to do this. Again, it's not required. Bye.